Welcome to the Speaking of Jazz podcast series with Manny Kellough, in association with Music Tribes Unite News. Now let's get started.
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Woods. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Talking to you, I'm gonna be okay.
Man, I'm so excited to be able to have this conversation with you. Let me first let our guests know just who I have with me this evening. I have the wonderful, the incomparable pianist. He's a arranger, he's a writer, a conductor, and also he's a poet. The fabulous Mr. Woody Woods. Man, how you doing? You still swinging? Let's talk.
Well, you know, I want to talk and wish we were swinging at the same time.
You know, I know that. Man, you know, I'm just as much as we have worked together, I don't think that we've ever really talked about some little things like, you know, where you're from and how you got started, some of your influences. So I'm going to just kind of stand out the way and just that you share that with us.
Well, now, how I got started. Now, I guess I've liked music all my life. I interviewed my father in the early 90s. Okay. And asked him when he knew that I might be a musician. He said, well, I always thought you were going to be one. And blew my mind because I didn't know it. But he said that he thought I was always pretty musical. But in the third grade, I actually wanted to be Manny Kellough. I'm telling you now, because I saw a red drum set in the music room of Russell Elementary and I told them I wanted to play the drums. They said, no, you got to be in the fourth grade before you can play the drums. And my parents bought a house out in Compton before the fourth grade came. And they asked me if I wanted to play an instrument at my new school in Compton, and I said, yeah, I want to play the drums. They said, oh, we don't have any drums. They said, we've got clarinets and flutes and something else, and I wasn't interested in those. I wanted to play the drums. So I told my mother, I said, I want to play the drums, but they don't have no drums. She said, well, I like the flute. Tell them you want to play the flute. I said, okay. So the next day I went back to school, told them I wanted to play the flute. They said, oh, we don't have any more flutes. We have clarinets. And I said, well, what's a clarinet? And they said, well, it's like the flute. You're going to like it. And they brought out this ugly looking silver metal clarinet. And I thought it was very ugly, but that's all they had. And I started with the clarinet, and I kind of liked it. I learned a few little tunes, and finally I told my parents, I said, I like to play the clarinet, but it's just so ugly. And I said, I need a real clarinet, one of the black ones. And I don't know if you remember Southern California Music Company. Used to be downtown on Hill and 7th in LA. And we went down there, and the man had a clarinet, and he said, my mother or somebody asked how much it cost, and he said $75. And my mother turned to me and she said, boy, do you know how much $75 is? And I said, no, ma'am, because I didn't know nothing about how much money it was. And I think they paid $1 or $1.25 a week for me to get that clarinet. And that's what started me off. what got me really interested, we had a family that moved next door to us when I was in the 4th grade. And every one of their children, there's 5 children, all of them could play the piano and played another instrument too.
Yeah.
Two of the kids was in the youth orchestra in LA. And listening to them play, because they played the piano and these other instruments. One played cello, one played violin, one played guitar. That's what really inspired me until I got into junior high school and found out that I didn't know nothing.
Found out how green you really was, huh?
That's right. I don't even know if I was green. I might have been yellow or something at that point, because music was neither an art nor a science to me. When I started, I just played whatever they asked me to play. And I got to junior high school, and that's when I discovered a lot of what music is really about.
Yeah.
The science, the soul, the math, the feeling. Because when I got to Bret Hart in LA, we moved back to LA from Compton. My teacher, Mr. Magruder, taught me more in the 3 years I was in junior high school than anything else. And he asked me, well, what do you play? And I said, clarinet. I said, we just finished the concert. Now, what I didn't understand at the time was the little music that we was playing for the concert out of, in the 6th grade, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I thought I was doing something. And he said, okay, well, play me something like Flight of the Bumblebee. And I didn't even know what Flight of the Bumblebee was. He said, okay, play me a C scale. I got on that. I could play a C scale. And there was, besides me, 27 other clarinet players in the band. And he stuck me in the very last seat, in the very last row. I was clarinet number 28.
That's a long way back there.
Oh man, it was way in the back. I was almost on the back porch. And anyway, they had these band books. And they were the kind that you used to clip on to your instrument so that you could march. Well, right. He gave me a band book. I looked in the book. I'd never even seen the notes that was on the paper. They was higher. I didn't know the clarinet went that high, and I didn't know how fast it went or nothing. And the first song we were supposed to play was Thunder and Blazes. It took me weeks before I could play that song, before I even play at it. But I gotta say, John Magruder was the teacher's name. Mm-hmm. His main instrument was upright bass. And he had a duo with a piano player that they played around town. And he played hi-hat with his left foot and played bass at the same time. And the piano player played and sang. And so when I saw him do that, I said, oh, that's the music I want to play, because they were playing jazz. And they were short a tenor, a second tenor player in the jazz band. He said, no, I want you to come join the jazz band. And I wasn't playing sax yet. I was playing tenor parts on clarinet.
Okay.
And I didn't realize I should be playing them down an octave from where they were written, because tenor saxophone played an octave lower. And I didn't like playing it that way on my clarinet. But I got it. I started listening to Count Basie and Duke Ellington in the arrangements that we had in the jazz band. And at the same time, my mother had a boyfriend whose nickname was Stereo Steve. And Manny, he had every jazz record that we could have wanted. I don't care who you name. Early Charlie Parker, Diz, all the big band cats, everything. And I'd listen to those every day and try to imitate some of the stuff that I heard.
Yeah.
And I got, God bless me, across the street neighbor called me one day and said on the phone, and I was in the 8th grade. Yeah, I was in the 8th grade. He called me and said, there's somebody over my house I want you to meet. And he said, and bring your horn. And I said, okay. So I came over, and by this time I was playing tenor and clarinet, so I brought them both. And who he introduced me to was Benny Carter.
Mm.
And I knew who he was, but I'd never seen him. I just heard him on the records.
Yeah.
And Benny said to me, what are you doing with the clarinet? I said, well, I play sax and clarinet. He said, no, you need to play flute. He said, the double for tenor is flute, not clarinet. Clarinet is the double for alto.
Mm.
And I went to school and checked out a flute. And over the summer, I learned how to play it, taught myself how to play it. And I discovered that that was really what I wanted to do, was play tenor and play flute. Those were the ones. And I, during that same time, I was sick one day, and I heard Herbie Mann play a bossa nova on the radio, because you remember the jazz station KKGO, KABC or KBCA or something was the name then. And he played a Whistle While You Work as a bossa nova. And I liked hearing it. And I figured that I could write an arrangement similar for the big band at school. And that's what I did. Now, I didn't know exactly what I was doing. What I knew was what I wanted to hear, not exactly how to write it. So I had stems on the notes going in the wrong directions. I had the bass part was supposed to go boom, boom, beady, boom, boom, beady. And I thought boom was the first note of the measure. Well, it wasn't. That was on beat 4. 4, 1, 2, 3, that kind of thing. But I didn't know what I know. So I wrote it out and copied it. And next day went to school and told Mr. Magruder, I said, I wrote an arrangement. You think the band could play it? He said, you did what? And I showed it to him. He said, you wrote this? And I said, yes, sir. I wrote it. And we tried to play it. And he told the bass player, who was a young girl at the time too, Polly was her name. He said, now he put the bass line on the wrong note. Just move it one over and play it. And she played it. I said, yeah, that's the way it's supposed to sound. And he told me, he said, you got the stems going the wrong way and this and several other things. But it sounded good.
Okay.
It made sense. And that got me to writing. I started trying to write all kinds of things. And for whatever reason, which I still haven't figured out, Mr. Magruder, every day it seemed like he'd tell me something. Like he said, you want to get a better sound out of your horn. When you take your mouthpiece off, when you put it together, stick the mouthpiece in a glass of water for 5 minutes with the cap on, and then take it off and then play. Changed my life. Changed my life. Since I had moved myself up from the 28th clarinet to the first clarinet.
Moving on up.
Moving on up. I had to challenge my way up there because you could challenge anybody that was ahead of you to play something. And so that's how I got up to first clarinet. And they let the band play my arrangement, A Whistle While You Work, in one of the spring concerts. And what really attracted my attention too was each summer, Mr. Magruder, the band teacher, and Mr. Rogers, the drama teacher, would write a Broadway type musical. And we play it in the spring. It'd be the concert band and the senior orchestra together, right? With the drama class and the choir. And so we would do a Broadway type production. Now that really knocked me out, really made me want to write something big, you know? He gave me one other thing that really moved me. He said, would you like to conduct the orchestra? And I said, yeah, I think so. And he said, what would you like to conduct? And Ben-Hur was popular at the time, the movie.
I remember.
And I really respected the composer, arranger, Nicholas Rosa, Italian fella who did Ben-Hur and Spartacus and a bunch, all those kind of Romanist kind of movies.
Yeah.
And I wanted to conduct the scene where Ben-Hur is riding around in his chariot and they're going slow around the whole Colosseum. It was called Parade of the Charioteers. And man, again, my world changed because I said, oh, this is what I want to do. And I want to lead the band. And yeah, it was just one of those things that just took me to a whole nother level. I can't tell you that I was playing crazy good necessarily. I could play a little bit, and as well as anybody in the band. But I felt like writing and conducting was what I needed to do. So
well, I think you do them both very well, man. And the only thing I can say is, you know, you just keep doing what you're doing. You keep swinging.
Keep swinging.
On that particular note, Mr. Woods, or should I say Woody Woods, I've been looking through some of your notes here, man. Tell me about the time that you played with Tootie Heath.
Oh my God. Lord have mercy. Well, as I told you, my mother's boyfriend, when I was in junior high school, he had every jazz album that you could think of. And so I used to read all those liner notes. I used to really get my information on musicians off the liner notes on the albums, which they don't do anymore, right? And, you know, the first time I got called for a jazz festival, it wasn't the Newport Jazz Festival, but it was the Newport Beach Jazz Festival in California. And Tootie Heath was on drums and John Hurd was on bass. Mm-hmm. I knew both those cats from off the album covers. I'm just telling you, that was another one of those life-changing experiences, because I hadn't played with well-known cats up to that time. And I remember one of the tunes that I really had to work hard with was Night in Tunisia, because they wasn't doing it in the key that I knew it in, of course, because Melba Joyce, it was Melba Joyce's gig. And she was doing, in C minor instead of D minor, where it's usually done. And I kind of knew the changes in D minor, even though it's just down a whole step, everything is different, to me, right? But these cats really were swinging. The thing I really noticed about Tootie was he only had 5 drum pieces, man. He ain't had no whole bunch of drums, no whole bunch of cymbals.
Where he was wearing people out with 5 pieces.
I'm trying to tell you, playing those 5 pieces of drums better than cats with 20 drums.
Plus Tootie could sing too.
I know that, but he didn't sing on this because it's, like I said, it's Melba's gig, and Melba Joyce, well, actually her name is Melba Joyce Bradford, Terry Bradford's wife. Okay. And she wears out everything that she does. I mean, on her bad days, she's better than a whole bunch of folks on their good days, in my opinion. And I was so thankful that she called me for that gig, because we in LA, it's a ton of cats she could have called. You know what I'm saying? Cats. Yeah, bad cats. And the other big thing she did for me, I gotta say, she called me. We did an album. So you know how long ago that was, an album with Dizzy and Gerald Wiggins. So both he and I were switching off on different tunes on piano. And 2 things I learned on that session was Gerald had this intro he played on one of the ballads. And I was like, wow, I never recognized that particular progression. It was dark, but it was beautiful. And it wasn't busy. He wasn't playing 50,000 notes all of it. I was like, wow, that's how to start this. Yeah. And I learned that from him. Of course, when I got home, I learned to do that because I just thought that was too cool. That was too cool. And what I learned from Diz was we played this tune that I thought Melba killed it, but she was very particular. And she said, I want to take this again. And Diz said, what? Why? She said, well, I think I could do it better. He said, this is jazz. You sang what you sang. That's what it is. You don't need to do it again. And I was like, wow, really? Okay. I was very thankful for that.
Yeah. Well, tell me about, I have to ask you now. Tell me about Della Reese.
Oh, my goodness.
And I understand you were the pianist and as well as the musical conductor for her.
As the kids say, this is what happened.
What it was.
Yeah, what it was I got a call on Thursday morning from an old friend of mine, singer, William Knight. And he said, Woody, are you working this weekend? And I said, no, I don't have a gig. He said, well, I know you don't know it, but I've been working with Della Reese for a couple of years, and she needs a conductor. She's doing the Rochester Philharmonic Orchestra. And I told her I knew somebody. And I'm thinking, now, I had conducted some pieces with some folks, but never on the scale of the Rochester Phil. And he said, could you come up to the house and take a look, and see if this is something you want to do? I said, sure. She was at the top of Bel Air. So we drove up to Bel Air, and Della was bigger than life. Oh, what it was. I'm Della Reese. And the first thing you need to know is everything we do is serious.
Yeah.
If it's a note, it's serious. If it's a chord, it's serious. If it's a rest and it's silent, it's serious. You think you can handle that? And I said, yes, ma'am. And I said, what are we doing? She said, well, I've got a show. I need a conductor. And I said, well, can I take a look at the charts and at the scores? And she said, well, I don't have them. And what I didn't realize at the time was a good friend of mine had been her original conductor, but apparently they had a parting of the ways, and he had the scores with him. And they had to get them back from him.
He took all the music?
Yeah, well, he took the scores. They had parts. And so I said, well, let me see the first trumpet part, the first violin part, at least to get an idea of what we're dealing with. And so anyway, that's Thursday morning, and the gig was Saturday. And so I looked at what I had, and I didn't see the real scores until we got to Rochester, New York. And it was 100 pieces just about. Marion Alsap was the assistant conductor, and she greeted me, and we talked for a bit, but I knew who she was. I had never met her, but I knew who she was. And I'm telling you, it was like going from driving a Ford Fairlane to jamming in a Maserati.
Just that quick.
Just that quick. And the competence of the orchestra was just phenomenal. I mean, everything I would have wanted them to play, they were playing, if not even better. And the arrangements were great anyway. I mean, it was great arrangements. Larry Farrell had done most of the arranging, and the other Larry, I can't think of his last name right this minute, but they were great charts. And I was just awakened, is the word, because I had never had that kind of experience, standing in front of that many fabulous musicians in a great concert hall. It was at the Finger Lakes facility in Rochester. It just blew my mind. And of course, what really blew my mind, we had never talked about money. I hadn't asked her what it was paying, and she didn't say. And we finished the concert. We go backstage. Bam, here's the check. Way more than I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I like this, because, I'm used to doing stuff, and you don't know when you're going to get the check or the cash, or, folks be fooling around. She was right on the money 100% of the time. And when we did the rehearsal, I'm used to doing rehearsals, especially with singers, where they sing during the rehearsal.
Okay, me too.
She didn't sing. She came out, took the mic, said blah 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 blah. That's fine, and say, "You got it, Woody." Okay, you know. So everything was new to me.
Yeah.
And she made a statement, I think, if I remember correctly, to the audience. She said, I would like you to give my new conductor a hand. She said, because I think we're going to keep him for a while. And I was like, so it's all blowing my mind, because almost everything that happened was something that I hadn't expected.
Fantastic.
You know, and of course I didn't know what to expect. And Della had tons of records that I knew, you know, that she was singing. And her voice was so magnificent. She could make it thunder and she could make it whisper at the same time. And she just took up all the oxygen in the room, just about. She and some of the things I didn't know about her, she used to sing with Mahalia Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really didn't know that. And she would tell me stories about her and Mahalia and going back a ways. And you know, the other thing that blew my mind was she got 3/4, not half, 3/4 of her money up front before she left home. Okay.
Yeah.
No, Della.
Okay.
Yeah. And she'd get the other quarter when she got to the stage. So we never had nothing to worry about getting our money.
Well, that's wonderful.
I loved it. I loved it.
Well, let's talk about move along here. And let's talk about your friend and mine, Miss Marlena Shaw.
Oh, well, I just talked to her a couple of weeks ago. I called her. She was doing better. She was doing better. She had been a little under the weather for a while, and she doesn't get out much anymore. The last two times I saw her was when she came to see my orchestra perform. And the last couple of times that she did that, once she did it, and we actually sang, she actually sang a tune for me, because I wasn't trying to get her to perform. I just wanted to see her, you know. And the very last time she came out, I didn't ask her to sing at all. And I told the audience that we are not asking Marlena to sing. We know she can sing and what she does. And she was just such a lovely person, on top of the fact that she could take almost anything and swing it. We talking about swinging? Even those R&B-ish kind of tunes that she did, they were jazzy. She was swinging. She wasn't playing. I can't think of the name of the tune now, of course. But the one where she did all the talking in front.
Oh, go away, little boy.
Yeah, go away, little boy. And all that stuff that she made up, that was so fabulous. So fabulous. Adela was very good at that too, though. She would tell these stories before she did the tune to set them up. Her setups were incredible and unbelievable. I mean, she could almost didn't have to sing after she set it up so well.
Yeah, it was done by the time they get through setting it up. and telling the story, it's done.
I'm trying to tell you. I am trying to tell you.
What about? I mean, it's so many. I got so much stuff highlighted here, and I only got. I done read through everything, man. It's really exciting. Let's talk. Let's move to the East Coast and talk about your musical director with the Nova Scotia Mass Choir. How was that? What was it? How did you get into that?
Well, I had a need to. Well, no, that's not right. Let me get this straight. I got a call from Curtis King.
Curtis King.
Yeah, your boy, Curtis King. They needed somebody to play for one of the singers on the concert that we were doing at the Kennedy Center for the 30th anniversary of the March on Washington by Martin Luther King. And I was available. And so I went to DC. And while I was there, the Nova Scotia Mass Choir was late for rehearsal with the band and the choir and everybody else, because the bus driver that drove them down from Halifax got lost. So they were a day or two late. And Curtis said, well, they can't sing. They don't know the material. And since I was only playing one song, which was Strange Fruit, I said, well, look, I ain't got nothing to do. I said, you find me a piano, I'll teach them the music. And that's how we met. And I was very impressed with them. They had a very unique kind of sound. And I asked them if they had any original material and if they were doing any recording. And they said, no, we don't. We haven't gotten to that. I said, well, I got a whole lot of gospel material. And I had a ton of tunes I had written that nobody had ever sung.
Right.
And I said, we ought to get together and do something. They said, oh, well, if you come to Nova Scotia, we'd love to get together with you. So I got a call a couple of months later after the show, and they said, we have a grant for you if you could come for a week and do a gospel workshop for us. And I said, okay. And I went for a week. And on the last day of that week, they had a little concert that they needed to do at the West End Baptist Church in Halifax. And they said, well, we need a director. We don't have a director for the concert. Can you direct us? And I said, well, I don't know what music you're doing. They said, well, but we don't have anybody. I said, okay, I'll see what I can do. I'll do the best I can. And I called upon one of the strong voices in the choir, Jeremiah Sparks, fabulous instrumentalist, singer, and all around good guy, and had him help me go through the tunes, and I did the best I could trying to conduct stuff I don't know.
Usually that's all we can do is do what we can do.
I'm trying to tell you.
And it usually turns out okay.
Well, it must have been all right. Nobody threw apples or oranges or banana peels at me. But after I had finished, clearly, God spoke to me and said, this is where you need to be. And I said, okay. I left the next day, went home, packed up all my stuff, and moved to Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Didn't know where I was going to stay. Didn't really have a job. And everything worked wonderfully for almost 10 years.
Fantastic,
Yeah, I was there. I think I stayed there almost 2 years. And then for the next 8 or 9 years, I'd be back and forth 5 or 6 times a year, for weeks at a time or a month at a time. And we did concerts. We had a nice television show that we got, which really knocked me out.
Tell me about those TV shows you were doing up there.
Well, we did. What happened was I was trying to do a show about peace, world peace. So I wanted to use the Nova Scotia Mass Choir, one of the singers that I knew, of Mexican American descent, some German musicians that I was working with, and this gentleman, Andre Brady, and he was going to finance it. He said, "How much is it?" And I told him it was 60. I needed 65,000. He said, "No problem," because he had the money, And he and his assistant came to Nova Scotia and saw one of our concerts. He said, "Oh, I love this. What do you need? What do you want?" Well, unfortunately, he got himself in a little bit of trouble. Nothing criminal, but the money was not forthcoming. But CBC Television had already given me a week of all the technicians I needed, the studio cameras, lights, everything I needed to do the show. But I had to pay the talent. I had no money to pay the talent. And one of the producers in Nova Scotia had the money, but he had no studio and no equipment and da. So we made a deal. He said, "I'm thinking about using you and your choir." And he said, doing some kind of a show. And we came up with the title Hallelujah. I designed a set and took it to their set designer. And I had all this material. And that's how we got the first season on the air. And we did 13 episodes in 5 days.
Fantastic, man.
I'm telling you, which was monumental. Now, the second season, of course, it was more stretched out, and we had a better facility, more money, better everything. And
well, are you still in touch with any of them there?
Most of the folks that I was close to, I still talk to often. And for quite a while, I kept going at least once or twice a year doing things with them. In fact, when the virus started here, that I was just coming back from there doing some concerts. And I'm hoping to get back there in January or February if things are milder and safer, and do some more things either with them or some of the other folks that I work with up there, because I really have a family of folks up there. And they're very talented. They're some of the friendliest people I have ever met in my life. I'm telling you. And I talk about that all the time. And I got friends there's people right here in Vegas that are relatives to some of my friends in Nova Scotia and in the choir. So it's a big thing, and it's a good thing.
Well, I have another question for you. Can
Go
you
ahead.
kind of tell us some of the things that you are working on? What's down the line for Woody Woods right now?
Well, I have a ballet that I wrote that I'm working on getting the funding for. It's from a symphonic suite that I wrote that I'm adding poetry and live musicians as well as recorded to do the ballet. And it's a Black History Month kind of piece.
Okay.
It tells the story of the migration of African music from Africa to America to the world, and kind of is spirituals. It's like calypso. There's blues. There's jazz. You know, we got to swing.
You got to swing, man.
Got the story.
You used to have a pulse, don't you?
Yeah, I do. The story of music, jazz music in Harlem is involved in it, and history of the blues, and just several things. Runs about 90 minutes.
Very good.
And I'm working on that. I'm going to do some recording of a more quintet-like group. I haven't put it all together yet, but I'm working on it. And I have a book of poetry.
Now. My middle name is still Swing.
Okay.
You know, I put the S in Swing.
Okay.
As we
I was thinking about you.
Say that again.
I said I was thinking about you yesterday because on what is it, X Radio? What is that radio? XL Radio or whatever it is. They got Miles Davis for Black History Month. They got Miles Davis channel. Played nothing but Miles Davis all day long. And I thought about you, listening to them cats like Philly Joe and whatnot play, and you were on my mind.
Well, I'm glad I'm on your mind, Doctor, because I think about you quite a bit. A lot of those gigs we did, a lot of them gigs we didn't get paid for, still looking for the money.
Yes, right. I remember that last one. Yeah.
As we kind of sum up and wind up our time, I'd like for you to, what advice would you give some of the young and up and coming players today?
Listen, as I told my friend Jeremiah Sparks that I talk about a lot, listen to everything.
Yeah.
Because, and especially because I'm listening now to this Miles Davis channel, he delved into a whole lot of different styles of music and still retained his personality.
Okay.
But you know, he was playing some rock, always swinging, some blues, some African-oriented rhythms and songs and whatnot. And I'm listening to him because they had something, they were playing something by Joey De Francisco, the organist.
Joey,
you know what I'm talking? Yeah. And I didn't realize, even though I should have, Miles played organ too.
I didn't know that.
See, he played, and both of them play trumpet and organ. And I never heard Miles play like Jimmy Smith. It's mostly just some chords and some other things, but I'm sure if he wanted to, he could. Because his grasp of the vastness of music, especially through the eyes of a jazz player, is it's just so many different things you can do. There isn't a limit. Only the one that you make for yourself.
You know, I kind of have to agree with you when you say listen. That's one of the main things that I always try to stress when I'm doing a lecture or a demonstration. Listen, listen, listen.
Oh yeah.
Stay out the way and listen.
Well, I appreciate the stay out the way, but see, I also like to get involved because I remember this guy played drums. He swing a little bit, named Manny Kellough, that kept the solo going right past one when the singer come back and he's still playing it, which is legal. See, now a couple of the brothers that was on the gig with us didn't understand. Okay, they didn't get it. But see, I know that the drums need to have as much input into the personality of the music as anybody else.
Right.
You know, it needs to be that for me. And let me say this about that. A friend of mine out of New York was talking about a friend of his that was a drummer, and that his friend went to see Train one night, and Elvin Jones was late. And so his friend went up to Train and said, man, you know, I've got all your records. I know all your tunes. He said, if you want to get started with something till Elvin gets here, I can play it, whatever it is. And Train said no. And he went up to Train 2 or 3 times because Elvin was real late. And Train said no each time. So as the story goes, Elvin came in, instead of going to the stage, he went to the bar and got a couple of shots of something and kicked back the shots and then went to the stage and got on the stage, counted off, and they burned. Okay, which, you know, that was a quartet. That was my quartet. You know, I loved them guys. And so when the set was over, my friend's drummer friend, you know, went up to Train and said, you know, all those tunes you did, he said, man, I know all those tunes. He said, why wouldn't you let me play a tune with you? And he said that Train said, because I didn't want to hurt myself. And so not long after I heard that, because, you know, I'm an NPR junkie too, so I listened to NPR and they were doing an interview. And I was listening, and they were interviewing one of Train's colleagues, and he was saying that the thing that impressed him most about playing was Train. He said because he played like his life depended on it.
All the time.
See what I'm saying? And his thing was, whatever you do, don't stop moving. See? And then I thought back to the 60s, the mid 60s, you know, when Train was hot. And that's what I heard on those records.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Was those cats was playing like their lives depended on it.
Like they wasn't gonna play again.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. Yes, sir.
I got a couple more for you. I'm excited. You see, I done settled down now. If I was to ask you right now, which I'm going to do.
Okay.
Who are you influenced by? Who do you sit down and listen to this very day?
Well, it's I got to go back
Go ahead on.
to junior high school to Mr. Magruder, because nobody influenced me more in a short period of time than him. Because now, even in junior high school, in the band, when he would direct the marches, especially the ones, the 6/8 kind of feel marches, those kind of things, he told the bass drummer, he said, when my hand gets 3/4 of the way down, that's when you hit the drum, not when it's at the bottom. He said, because this has to swing. That was, okay. He told me, whatever you do, when you're writing your arrangements, put the 3rd and the 7th or the 3rd and the 6th in the trombones. He had these bombs that he used to lay on me out of nowhere. And he encouraged me by giving me opportunities to do things. Like he said, one day I'm going to be out of school. One of the weekdays, he wasn't going to be able to come. And he wanted me to take over beginning band and beginning strings. I didn't even play no string instruments. I went and bought the books, beginning band instruments, these big blue books. I memorized every fingering for every instrument, okay, over the summer. That's what I did so that I would be ready, because he told me way in advance. See what I'm saying? And so the combination of him encouraging me and giving me all these golden nuggets of stuff, right? And then hearing and seeing all the bad cats, listening to all the singers, watching people, how they grasp the music and stick their fingers in it and their hands and massage it and twist it and turn it and have control, yet all the freedom. I got a good friend here who thinks he likes jazz, but he doesn't really like jazz, because he said if they play stuff I can't sing, it ain't no good, So he loves Gene Ammons and hates John Coltrane, and music is vast, island music. I played with a Mexican American group called Los Hermanos for quite a while, where I was one of the only 2 people in the band that spoke English.
Really?
I learned a lot. Now, it wasn't the Latin from New York. It was the California sound, which was completely different. And it made me aware of the fact that the claves are different on each coast. On the West Coast is 1, 2, cha cha cha. On the East Coast is cha cha cha, 1, 3, 4, cha cha cha, 3, 4. And I didn't know that until I had lived on both coasts and could hear the difference. So I don't know if that answers your question.
It really does, man. Quite a story, man. Really, really interesting. And I would like for you to be able to let everyone know how you can be contacted, your email and website and all that, if you don't mind sharing that.
Well, my email is pretty easy. It's Woody, WOODY Woods, WOODS @hotmail.com. That's the best way to reach me. I'm going to leave my phone number off for now, but my email, I checks it all day long to see those big gigs that Manny Kellough fixing to call me for. And I'm on Facebook.
Okay.
Yeah, Woody Woods, Las Vegas. I'm on Facebook. I look at that every day, not all day like I used to, but I try to stay up on that. And my son says I'm on Twitter. I don't ever use it, but I do see it come up, if you need to get in touch with me. But those are the
give it to us one more time. Give it to us one more time.
Say again.
Give it to us one more time.
WOODS.WOODS@hotmail.com.
Fantastic. Dr. Woods, it's been such an honor and a pleasure to be able to just sit here with you and reminisce and go back to bring me up to date and let me know what you're doing, how you feel. You look fantastic, man.
Man, I'm trying to keep up with you. Look at yourself. You're looking good. Got your beard, got your beard going, and the whole 9 yards.
As they say, I'm just an OG now, man.
That's all they call me. Every time they keep calling me OG, and I'm thinking, I hope that's good.
Man, it's been a pleasure, and I truly hope we'll have this opportunity again to have a nice conversation. And I'm going to ask you a quick, short question, and
okay.
I want you to answer real quick. What is jazz to you?
The freedom to create. If you don't have that, it ain't jazz.
If you're not breathing, what? If you're not swinging?
No. If you ain't swinging, if you ain't swinging, you probably don't have a pulse.
Fantastic, man. It's a pleasure.
Same here.
You take care of yourself, man. You know I love you like a brother, man. And
right on. I'm telling you the truth.
I'm going to have to get out there on that West Coast, and we're going to have to sit down and swing until we can't swing no more one day.
Well, I got to get to the East Coast. I got a reason. So I'm coming. I don't know when yet, but I'm coming. All right, my brother. Take care of
yourself, and we'll talk again soon. And, I always end my conversations by saying, keep on swinging.
You too. All right, brother. Talk to you.
Take care, man.
Same here. Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed the show and thank you for keeping jazz alive. Don't forget to follow us on our social media channels, and all the links are in the podcast description. That's it for now.